So clarity sounds great until it creates accountability. And most organizations have people who have been doing business a certain way at a certain speed for a very long period of time, may be comfortable operating in the fog. And they want freedom, but they don't want accountability. They want to experiment, but they don't always want to be measured. So AI comes in, and it brings all this incredible pressure, but it starts exposing like hidden politics, weak ownership, weak management.
Welcome to Playbook AI Partners Podcast, the show that turns AI from overwhelming into actionable.
Your host, Sandy Kibling, is the chief playmaker, helping business owners and teams stop chasing shiny tools and start using AI in a way that actually moves the numbers, saving time, reducing busy work, and driving growth.
Each episode features industry experts and real-world tactics, providing clear, do this next plays, simple AI workflows, and practical guardrails so you can use AI safely, execute with confidence, and get results.
Let's run the play.
Hello, everyone, and before we get into the show, just a quick 90-second update. What would you do with 5, 10, or even 15 extra hours each week? Maybe spend time growing your business, finally finishing that project, or maybe just closing the laptop before dinner for once. At Playbook AI Partners, we believe that AI should give you time back, not give you one more complicated thing to figure out. That's why we created the AI Solution Locker, a growing collection of practical, bite-sized solutions designed to help you solve real problems quickly. In 20 minutes or less, you heard right, 20 minutes or less, you can learn how to streamline those repetitive tasks, create content faster, organize information, build simple automations, and get more accomplished without becoming a technology expert. And here's a bonus. No endless or outdated courses, no confusing tech talk, just open the AI Solution Locker, choose the solution you need, and put it to work. And here's another bonus. You don't have to do it alone. And in this current wave of AI, I don't think you should. Inside the Huddle, our Playbook AI Partners community, you'll connect with other curious business owners and professionals who are learning, experimenting, and building with AI. Join live sessions, quarterly training boot camps, ask questions, access helpful resources, and get the support you need to move from AI overwhelm to confident action. So stop spending those hours trying to piece everything together on your own. Get the solution. Let's run the play together and get your time back. I would love to have you join the Huddle and get to meet you and help you on this journey. So visit Playbook AI Partners and step into the AI Solution Locker and the Huddle today. And now on with the show.
Welcome to the show, The AI Illusion, when progress doesn't produce results. Most AI initiatives don't fail because teams lack tools. They fail because visibility breaks down, decisions stall, and pilots never turn into scalable results. What if we could move beyond the scattered AI experiments and building a structured approach that delivers real ROI? To help us get into this topic, I have Patrick Bell on the show. Patrick is a doctoral AI researcher and AI transformation advisor who works directly with CEOs to help them turn AI into measurable business results. Patrick's work focuses on what's actually happening inside organizations as AI creates pressure where visibility breaks down, where decisions stall, and why most initiatives never scale. He brings a clear executive level perspective on how to move beyond scattered tools and pilots and get to the desired results. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Thank you, Sandy. It's so good to be here.
Well, you've done quite some amazing stuff. And what I like about you is you bring a different perspective. We always talk about where everybody wants to go, what tools they are using, and how it's going. But we don't talk about the mindset and the change management that kind of needs to occur before all of this stuff gets started. So I'm super excited to have us delve deeper into that topic. But before we get to that, why don't you share with us your experience and how it's led you on the current journey with AI.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's a very complicated history, so I'm going to give you the cliff notes. I was born and raised in Canada, except for a few years where I lived in Zimbabwe, of all places. And I had a long family history in Southern Africa. And when I was about 21, I didn't have my life together. My parents asked me, "What are you going to do with, like, when you get out and basically get your life together?" And I said, "Well, I noticed that most people, they die within 2 years of retirement. So I'm going to retire now and I'll work the second half of my life." And they're like, "Yeah, good luck with that." But now I've been to 55 countries. I've lived 12 years in Japan. I've lived about 5 years total in Kenya. Lived in the US. My wife's American. And now I'm living in Europe again, a second time, this time in Portugal. And so lived around the world, studied around the world, helped create business solutions around the world. I don't think I could look and say at the time what was happening. You know, like when you're in the middle of things, you don't have time to like sit and look at patterns and all that. I think over time, it's like, oh, okay, so now I've started to see things happening and you start to notice these different patterns. And I think what I've mostly seen is that leaders are struggling everywhere and teams are working hard everywhere, but maybe not aligned. And decisions take a long time all the time. And AI is moving everything so darn quickly that we're all just struggling to keep up and trying to make good decisions. AI is this huge monster, and like we're just trying to hang on with our fingertips, I think. So about a year and a half ago, my friend came to me and said, "Hey, Patrick, I need you to come in and train my entire team of 50 people to be AI competent across every one of their roles, all the developers." I'm like, I don't know how to do that, but I can recommend someone. And what he did, he got this fantastic contract. And I thought, you know what? I think I just missed a massive opportunity. But I don't want to just enter the game like every AI automation consultant out there, because if I can learn it in 30 days, that means the kids in high school can learn it. All of China and Africa and India can learn it. And it's just a race to zero. So I thought, well, let me take a step back. And so I'm doing my doctorate in business in artificial intelligence out of the Swiss School of Business and Management in Geneva, and just trying to come in at a more executive level. It just allows me to enter the conversation and, you know, be in the room of people who are making decisions. And so that's the approach I'm taking now.
I appreciate that, and I'm glad you've dived into this. It is a big, you use word AI monster because it is. It's just massive. It seems like just yesterday people were talking about it, and then all of a sudden you blink and like it's all about implementation, it's all about the tools, it's all about you're going to be left behind. It is all of that piece of it that is just come into play. I look at it as so exciting as an AI educator. Education is important because it's changing all the time and nobody has time for missteps with it changing as fast. So let's, get it right. But with that comes excitement as to what it is that you can do and in your business and taking the steps to see that transformation. So to me, that just is so exciting. But you say that in your experience that most organizations don't struggle with AI because of technology piece of it. They struggle because their leadership systems, can't absorb it. Can you expand more on that statement?
I think AI exposes something most companies don't really want to talk about, and that's accountability. At first, AI is really fun. Leaders say, "Hey, everyone go and experiment, try some tools, see what you can do. No one's going to lose their job." And it feels safe because no one's really accountable yet. But the moment you create something in a business and the leader says, "Okay, let's go and use that in the business," everything changes because someone has to own the result, right? Someone has to answer when AI gives a bad answer or AI breaks a workflow or it creates confusion or doesn't deliver the promised value. So someone has to be accountable, and that's where resistance starts. So clarity sounds great until it creates accountability. And most organizations have people who have been doing business a certain way at a certain speed for a very long period of time, may be comfortable operating in the fog, and they want freedom, but they don't want accountability. They want to experiment, but they don't always want to be measured. So AI comes in and it brings all this incredible pressure, but it starts exposing like hidden politics, weak ownership, weak management. I did a full deep discovery for a company. They wanted to bring in AI into their company, and they thought they were ready. And so I, spent weeks with the executives and gave him a report, and he got mad at me because what I basically said was, your company's not ready for AI. It's going to be chaos. It's going to completely break. And he's like, you're just not being sympathetic. It's like, no, I've seen this before. You have to have your management really tightly buttoned down before you go down the AI road, I think.
So tell me more about that. Is it mindset? Is it intellectual understanding? Is it just I've always done it that way? I mean, what is the barrier in the case, maybe an example that you've given that that needs to be addressed?
I think it's not really mindset, it's governance. Management has to really know, a loose way of saying, they have to really know what they're doing, but they have to get very specific about who owns what role and what they are doing, besides having all the data in place. I'm going to give an analogy. It's, I think of just like someone riding a bicycle very slowly. The front wheel is a bit wobbly and just got that little wobble to it. Now, if you're going 5 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour, you don't care. You hardly even notice it. But when you hit a 30-degree slope and you're going 40 miles an hour, this wobble is just shaking everything, and it's absolutely frightening. So this is what AI is doing to companies. Okay, so I'll give an example. I hired a fractional chief operating officer in a business I had recently. I've handed it over to a different CEO now, but he brought me in and helping me getting things tight. And he says, let me see your job descriptions that you have for the different people. And so I show him the job descriptions, and he said, well, what is the level of authority for each item on the job description? I'm like, what do you mean? I've never heard of that. I think it's a pretty darn good job description. Had AI help me create it. It was pretty good. And he's like, no. You have like 20 different things here. So what is their level of authority to do this thing? So for example, he said, if it's a 1, they should ask permission to do it first and get feedback. And then and then the leader, their supervisor, gives them the go ahead and creates some structure around it or feedback around it. If it's a number 2, they just go ahead and do it. They don't ask permission to do it. It's already their job to do it, but they have to report what they did and the result. And if it's a number 3, they don't have to ask permission. They don't have to report it. They are just expected to do it. And so everything that a person is asked to do should have a 1, 2, or 3. And he said, you can't scale a company without a lot of 2s and 3s. There can't be many 1s on there if you're going to scale. So you have to have a lot more clarity around people's roles. And that was just one idea. Because when this AI comes in, the pressure it creates on the organization, on the leadership, on the team members, on the systems, on the data, it's just unimaginable.
I hear what you're saying. And governance is not something that we talk about enough. I used to work with John Rose he's a CTO and chief AI officer at Dell. And that's one of the things in his predictions for 2026 is governance. I don't think that people talk about it enough in organizations. And I think that we really should do that because I do think people's roles change. And I heard you talk about it. It does in some ways, let me know if I'm off on this, but comes down to the leadership team changing a little bit of that mentality, because you're never going to get over someone who's going to be stubborn. Hey, I've always done it this way, but now you want to come in, bring AI, bring in that level of governance that adjust, for lack of a better word,
Yep.
their roles and their responsibilities. And either some people are going to say, thumbs up, I'm with you, and others are going to say, no way, I'm going to do it the way I've always done it. It's sad, but it's true. So what if I hear what you're saying is you have to get in that governance in place, help them understand the policies. I love the analogy, the 1, 2, and 3, and then help people embrace that change so they follow through with it. Am I blazing down the right path there?
You are absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Right on there.
What would you tell CEOs listening and thinking, okay, I'm in the midst of this? What are the first steps that they need to think through this in terms of that governance piece?
Well, that's great. A great question. I think they need to stop thinking like adopters and start buttoning down their management, thinking like operators. So instead of asking, where can we use AI, which is the normal question, you have to remember AI is going to bring massive amounts of pressure and speed on everything. So instead of saying, where can we use AI, the better question is, do we have the structure to control it? And before you scale anything, good leaders, they know that you got to have things in place. For example, you have to have clear ownership, right? Every AI initiative needs a real owner tied to a real outcome. So I've seen situations where a team builds an AI workflow. Maybe they're, building and automating like client reporting or something like that, generating marketing content. It works initially, but no one owns the result. So if you have things like output start degrading or prompts need updating, everyone assumes someone else is handling it and the system breaks down. That is not a technology failure. That is an ownership failure. So you got ownership. The next you have to have is visibility. Leaders need to see what's actually working and not working. Right? You don't want to see activity. You want to see impact. So at one company I was consulting in, there was a marketing assistant whose job it was to increase traffic to the website. Well, she was so excited, she came up with all these agents or this activity that agents could do, like creating social media posts, all that. And I said, well, okay, but where's the increase in activity to the website? And she's like, no, you don't understand. This agent is now creating all these social media posts, and I can create 5 a day. It's like, but that's just activity. That's not impact. She didn't get it. So you have to have ownership. You have to have visibility. You have to know when something's working. You got to know how much something actually costs you. You got to know how much time it actually saved you. You got to have those dashboards, right? That's the visibility. And so third, you have to have decision discipline. You need a way to understand what gets funded, what gets stopped, what gets scaled, and why. So if people are saying, well, this is successful or whatever, it's like, well, show me how. Show me the dashboard. Show me the metrics. Because if you can't do that, everything's just going to get stuck.
Well, you know where it went in my head, and this is so true. And when you talk with that marketing specialist, and she said, well, I've already, I've got the chatbot or agent doing it all. And I think we kind of get hands off, but we get too hands off. Because you're right, it's just the activity, but what is the result of that activity? What is the goal? What is the ROI on that? So, yeah, it's very, very enlightening indeed. Well, speaking of that, how do you, with all this words of wisdom, how do you help companies? Tell us more about AI transformation partners.
So my website, aitransformationpartner.com. And I sit at the place of coming alongside CEOs in their company, and I can be that maybe the whisper in their ear or that voice of wisdom to say, look, you're going to go into AI transformation. Here's what you need to be careful of. As you go through each stage, here are the questions you should ask. Here's what you should look for. Here's how you should identify someone who says they're a consultant, but they're just a parrot. On my website, I have a book called The Parrot and the Architect. And the parrots are these people who know how to do mimicry. Like, it's just like they can repeat words. They might be really good on a stage. They might be able to give you a great pitch deck. But when it comes down to, how do you know they're not a parrot? Or how do you know if they're an architect? They can just really build things, and they can prove they've done it. So I'm the person that comes alongside the leadership team, helps them see these things, helps them see what governance looks like, capital discipline looks like, measurement looks like, foolishness looks like. So I don't get in and do all the work. I sit next to them and help them get the work done a lot better.
That's awesome. And thank you for the clarification. We will absolutely link to AI Transformation Partner, singular partner. And then, you're the parrot and the architect. Tell us a little bit more about the book. I'll link to it as well. I thought that was an interesting title, but what can people uncover in that book?
Well, the book's a short fictional parable, but kind of based on real life scenarios. The parrot, in this case, is the business coach kind of consultant, typical, comes in, very flashy, very persuasive, wonderful slide deck. And he's giving this pitch, and someone in the company says, well, what about this? What about this? Like, for example, do you build AI employees or just install automations? And he's like, oh, what? Or like, how many workflows have you personally embedded AI into end to end, not just theory? And like, what? And they start finding him out. And then the other is the architect, someone who's actually built it in real life. And so I teamed up with David Lively to write this book. That's a short read. But the hero in my story is David Lively, because we thought it's also a marketing piece. So David comes alongside this parrot and actually mentors him how to be an architect, shows how it gets done. So if you think of like little books, Spencer Johnson or whatever, Who Moved My Cheese or things like that, it's just a short read. And it gets the idea of, oh, now I can understand what a parrot looks like. And now I can understand what an architect looks like. And I'd rather work with an architect. And so for us, it's a marketing piece. It's the first in a series of, it's the fiction. We're going to have the nonfiction coming out next. And that's under review right now. So it'll be a much more substantial piece of how do you actually step by step architect a solution in your business.
You bring up a really strong point, and you have to be so careful. I have two podcasts, and I have a healthcare one, and I have my AI podcast. My healthcare one I've had for years, and it's so interesting. I can have people on my healthcare podcast that say, "Oh, I'm Dr. Ryan Poselli with 17 years experience." But on my AI podcast, not so much. And it's not to say that there aren't people like yourself who are well versed and knowledgeable and awesome, because I do vet everyone very well. But it is tricky out there today. I love that analogy, the parrot and the architect. There are so many people who are learning. It's like we're 10,000 feet in the air. We're fixing the plane in flight. I mean, that old analogy, but it really is that time. So really vetting and making sure that who you're learning from or who is assisting you is so important. But going back to the transformation, the services you offer, going back to that, I love, when you talk about before we get into everything, let's understand, where we're at and where we need to be and the things we really need to put in place to make that work. So I just really applaud you for what you're doing. So with that, as we draw to a close, what are any final words of wisdom that you would give to listeners?
Wow. AI transformation is not a tool problem, and it's not a technical problem. It is a management and control problem. And that's the good news. Because if you've been managing companies, all you have to do is make sure you're managing well, and you'll be able to manage this as well. It's hyperspeed. It has to be intensely human. We're dealing with real people who have real problems in their lives, real families they're supporting, We can't be flippant about it. But it's a management problem, and you can always bring alongside people who understand the technology to help you get the solutions.
Absolutely. Well, we will again, Patrick, link to your site again. I love that you're bringing that kind of that different layer out there that I'm just not hearing as much about that we should. So thank you for all that you're doing and the wisdom that you shared today. And we'll make sure, as I said, a link to both the book and the site so people can find out more about you. But thank you so much for your wisdom and the stories and the case studies you shared. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate it too.
I enjoyed having Patrick on the show. Such an enlightening conversation indeed. Make sure and check out the show notes for links to AI Transformation Partner and the book, The Parrot and the Architect. And by the way, if I could ask a quick favor, if you're enjoying the show, if you don't mind leaving a review on Spotify or Apple or your listening tool of choice, it really does help people find the show and helps us continue to bring the message and knowledge to you. I appreciate it. In our next episode, I am bringing on Ryan Drumheller, who's going to bring a different perspective on cutting through the AI hype and how to get to that real conversation of what actually works. Ryan is an extroverted IT leader, fractional CIO, and founder of Stellar Horn Group, where he helps businesses cut through the noise of technology and AI to drive real, measurable results. With over 20 years of experience in IT and leadership, Ryan has led large-scale initiatives, including major mergers and acquisitions, cybersecurity programs, and enterprise transformations while building and mentoring high-performance teams. One of the things I love about bringing on these different guests is everyone offers a different perspective and one that might truly help you. So make sure you tune in to the next episode. Until next time, take action, execute, and let's run the play.